Alright, so we actually have some major news when it comes to Xbox and Sony going head to head over this Activision Blizzard deal. I know a lot of people don't like talking about it, but Xbox talks about Sony blocking developers for putting games on Game Pass, and they actually retaliate with some of the more sketchy things that Sony and PlayStation do for console exclusives. Let's get into everything that's being said because there's crazy back and forth going on between both publishers. Alright, so you know the drill. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you want to be notified on future videos, hit that small little bell icon. And if you want to go that extra mile to support the channel, hit that join button. All the support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so we all know that Sony and Microsoft have been kind of going back and forth since this legislation and all of these things started happening because of Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. We've had documents come out talking about Sony saying how this can actually hurt the gaming platforms and how Call of Duty is a unique game. There's nothing out there like it, while other publishers are basically saying, hey, we have Apex Legends, we have Counter-Strike, we have a bunch of other first-person shooters like Battlefield that directly compete with Call of Duty. So Sony just seems like they're a little worried that Microsoft is going to be taking over a lot of the gaming market and actually hurting some of their bottom line, aka their wallets. And wouldn't you know, Microsoft has responses. And another response came out earlier this week, or even late last week, talking about how Xbox is kind of fighting back against Sony. Well, that fight is still going on, and I just want to get right into the article and right into what's being said, because these are official documents happening from Brazil. Here's what's said and what's being claimed. Microsoft has claimed Sony pays for blocking rights to stop developers from adding their content to Xbox Game Pass. The explosive claims are part of documents filed with Brazil's national competition regulator and part of a review of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been hampered by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth, claims Microsoft in an August 9th filing to the Administrative Council of Economic Defense. As translated from Portuguese, Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services. Does this mean Sony is evil and Microsoft is casually out there revealing some dastardly business practices? The reality is likely a little more complicated on both sides. Sony could simply be paying for exclusive rights for its own streaming services, or it may have clauses in some publishing contracts that prevent some games it publishes from being published on rival subscription services. Alright, so I think that we need to stop it right there because there's a lot to unravel. Now, we all know that a lot of people, including MLB The Show, a developer that makes a great baseball game that is being made by a first-party Sony developer, is going to Game Pass, and it has gone there for 2 years straight now. And MLB The Show has had great growth, and the people that make the game and own the rights to the MLB have said putting it on Game Pass and on other consoles has been great for the growth of the game, and they have record profits. Yet, that doesn't look good for Sony because they're adding the game to Game Pass while people on their own platform have to pay $70 for that same game, while Xbox just gets it on Game Pass and we play it no matter what for $15 or $10 depending on where you want to play it. So when you look at things like that, it's getting a little crazy. It's getting crazy because we've heard this before that Sony does try to block deals from going to other businesses. And what I mean by that is the exclusive stuff that we've seen on Destiny 2, the exclusive stuff that we've seen with Final Fantasy, and the exclusive deals we've seen with Bethesda with games like Ghostwire and Deathloop. Sony has money had it a lot. It's a big part of their business, and it's what they've done to get people to their ecosystem. And I get it. Business is business, and it's always going to be that way. But when you look at them trying to stop Game Pass and you look at them trying to stop the Activision Blizzard deal, it's a little pathetic when you look at everything that they've done on their end. And it's something that Microsoft isn't putting down and isn't letting go. Here's what else is said. It's not clear exactly what Microsoft is referring to here, but contracts of publishing games can be complex, particularly when rights for streaming and subscription services are involved. Documents filed in the Epic Games vs. Apple trial last year revealed Microsoft had been considering lowering the revenue split for PC games in exchange for the grant of streaming rights to Microsoft. If Microsoft had proceeded with its plans, that could have led to the company securing exclusive streaming rights on some games, preventing them from being available on rival streaming services. It all depends on how publishing contracts are written, and both Microsoft and Sony regularly secure game exclusives that involve timed releases, console exclusivity, and lots of marketing dollars. Microsoft is attempting to convince Brazil's CADE regulator that it should waive through the company's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, while the Federal Trade Commission is analyzing documents from Microsoft on its acquisition in the US. That correspondence is private. That's not the case in Brazil, where its competition regulatory offers up public documents that provide a unique insight into the business competition between Microsoft and Sony. And that's exactly what's happening right now, is we're seeing this go deep. We're seeing people retaliate and companies kind of going head to head. And if you looked at all of these things that have not been private and have been public for people to read, all the other publishers, including WB, EA, and all these other ones like Ubisoft, don't really care that this deal is going through. Yeah, they said it's huge. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. But overall, it doesn't affect their business. It doesn't affect them because they have big games like Apex Legends, PUBG, Battlefield, and other big games that take people's attention away from them. Games like Fortnite, you know, the free-to-play games that have millions upon millions of people playing it almost every single day. Yet Sony, like we know, doesn't have those games. They don't have a lot of big first-party games that are centric in the multiplayer verse, hence why they rely on Call of Duty and big games like that to get their revenue up. Let's just cut it and say what it is. If Sony does lose Call of Duty, they lose a lot of money, and they rely on that money to keep the platform going. And of course they do. They rely on that 30% that all third parties get, and all third parties have to pay them once they make a game for the Sony platform. That's all that matters. And these documents are starting to get pretty crazy, because that's what's happening right now, is both companies are going head to head right now. And right now, Sony is trying to say that Game Pass or Microsoft isn't being competitive, while Xbox is actually saying the opposite. Here's what's being said in the article. Microsoft also claims that adding Activision Blizzard content to Xbox Game Pass will actually increase competition somehow. The inclusion of Activision Blizzard content in Game Pass does not impair the ability of other players to compete in the digital game distribution market, claims Microsoft in one document, where the company also argues it increases the competition thanks to high-quality content at lower immediate cost. Sony hasn't responded to this particular point yet, but at $9.99 per month for Xbox Game Pass, it's easy to imagine consumers picking that option to play titles like Call of Duty instead of paying $60 or more to purchase and own the game. And that's what's going to happen for a while. This rivalry is going to go back and forth. We know that Sony's trying to block things for Microsoft. They've been doing that for years. They've been trying to lock down exclusives. They locked down Final Fantasy and all these other exclusives that we've seen around the industry. Not to mention, they even locked down characters like Spider-Man in a third-party game like the Avengers, where you can only play it on the PlayStation platform, where everybody else gets a lesser version of the game because they're missing out on an entire character. And I gotta say, that blew back on the game. I think it hurt the game more than it helped. And I think developers are starting to realize that hey, some of these practices that Sony is doing isn't very consumer friendly at all. And I gotta say that out loud. They don't. They've raised the price to $70 just like some publishers have, and they're doing that across every platform. And most of the games that they have under their belt, like Forspoken and a couple other ones like Final Fantasy that they have exclusive deals on, are $70 on PC. And I'm going to tell you, PC gamers are not going to be falling for that. They're not going to buy $70 games. It's just not going to happen. They're going to fight back and make it known that this shouldn't be a standard across the industry. And I think that putting Call of Duty and all these other Activision Blizzard games in Game Pass for an even cheaper price makes it competitive to them in a way that they don't want to compete in. They don't want to compete in making it more accessible to gamers. They want to compete in selling their hardware and selling their games at $70. That's what Sony wants to do. They want to keep it old school. But I know that they're going to bring over games to PC. We know that they've been a lot more digital lately, especially since the reports came out that over 71% of their games have been sold digitally instead of physically. It's starting to turn, and it's starting to show that this digital market is going to be taking off even more, and Microsoft has the leg up on that. And it's a strategy that they're going to use. And that's what they're going to be talking about here when Microsoft brings up the distributions and how games are bought and played. Here's what's said. Microsoft also argues that not distributing games like Call of Duty at rival console stores would simply not be profitable for the company. Microsoft has previously made it clear it will keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Microsoft says a strategy of not disturbing Activision Blizzard games on rival consoles would only be profitable if the games could attract a high number of players over to the Xbox ecosystem, resulting in revenue to compensate or losses from not selling these titles on rival consoles. Whether Microsoft claims about blocking rights are accurate, it wouldn't be the first time Sony has used financial incentives to block game developers. Sony held back PS4 cross-platform play for years and implemented a cross-play revenue share for publishers that wanted to enable crossplay in their games. And that's what I have to talk about. Let's be real. Sony has always been the last in line to do something that's more consumer friendly. Yeah, they bring out big games. Yeah, they bring out games that everybody wants to play. And hey, I play them and love them. But at the end of the day, making things crossplay, making things more accessible across multiple platforms while tying your network to that has been something that they drag their feet on continuously for years, to the point where all they cared about is what type of money is this going to help us make, while everybody else was just trying to get everybody to play together. And you know what? You're going to make money no matter what platform you're on, because everybody has a better community to work with, more people to work with, and who knows, if they buy your console or buy something on your software, they're able to play their games there with crossplay and cross progression. I think that it's starting to get a little scummy, and I think that Sony is going to continue to do this because they truly are terrified of Activision Blizzard joining Xbox and losing out on that revenue, because that's all these companies care about at the end of the day, is their revenue, their top dollar, and how much money they're going to make. One thing that we can always rely on is that Sony's going to be doing that. They're going to be looking at the money first and then the consumer second. And that's something that every company does to some extent. But so far, from what we've seen and all the videos that come out and everybody talking about Game Pass, that is a very consumer-friendly thing. They're going to bring out even a family plan, which gives you up to 4 to 5 people to have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate at $25. And if you split that up with your friends, that's $5 a pop, if not a little bit more than that, to get every single game, get streaming, and every first party from Xbox on your console or your PC. That's insane value that I just don't think Sony and PlayStation could even compete with. But I want to know what you think about all this. Do you think that Sony is doing this because they're afraid that Activision Blizzard is going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform? Is PlayStation afraid that they're going to lose out on a lot of profits that Call of Duty and those games bring over to their platform? Do you think people are going to come over to Xbox because of this exclusivity? And do you think Sony just can't compete with what Game Pass is providing? And do you like that Xbox is actually fighting back and making Sony look like the bad guy? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button to support us out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalk87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Zalk87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, you guessed it, I've been playing Multiverses. I'm waiting for Spider-Man to come out. I'm going to jump into that this weekend. I want to play it on the PC at like 120 frames, 4K, ray tracing, all that. I have a 3090 and a pretty beast rig, so I'm looking forward to just jumping into that, because the last time I played it was 4 years ago, and I played it on the PS4 Pro at 30 frames, so I'm really looking forward to getting the high frame rate, because it's one of my favorite games. I love superhero games, and I love replaying them no matter what, so I'm looking forward to playing that on the PC. But for now, I'm going to be jumping into Multiverses. I think it's one of the best games to come out this year. It kind of reminds me of Apex Legends, how it just dropped out of nowhere, and everybody loved it. So I'll be jumping into Multiverses. Plus, they just hit 10 million people, and the game hasn't even officially released yet. We're still in the preseason or the beta, so that's insane. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your Xbox Series X? Are you playing something on your PS5? Or are you playing something on your PC? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for. It's Talk Games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.